If you're running a small e-commerce brand or dropshipping store and can't seem to scale no matter what you do, chances are you're probably making one of these 7 mistakes that's killing your growth. I've been doing e-commerce for over 6 years now, and I've scaled multiple brands past 7 figures in revenue. And I see these same mistakes over and over again. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 7 most common mistakes beginners make, and most importantly, how to avoid each one so you can finally build a profitable store that actually scales. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1. This first mistake is probably costing you more money than you realize, and most people don't even know they're making it. Here's what happens. You're excited to scale, you want to work on your business instead of in it. So you immediately start hiring people on Upwork, Fiverr, or wherever to handle everything. You hire someone to build your website, someone else to run your ads, another person to edit your videos, and you just sit back and wait for the money to roll in. But the issue is, if you delegate too early, your entire business will break. Think about it logically. If you don't know what a high converting product page even looks like, how do you know if this random Upwork developer you hired for a couple $100 actually delivers something good that actually converts? If you've never ran Google ads yourself, how can you tell if the media buyer is actually setting up your campaigns correctly or just lighting your budget on fire? If you don't actually understand what a high converting video creative actually looks like, how do you know if your video editor is producing good creatives that actually convert or just putting out junk? You really can't. You're essentially blind. So the number 1 mistake is delegating before actually learning. And this really applies to everything from media buying, creative strategy, if you were to hire a creative strategist, copywriting, video editing, email, retention marketing. When you're starting out, it's completely fine to be a jack of all trades, master of none. Your job early on is to learn enough about each area to know what actual good work looks like. Otherwise, you're just gonna get rugged by pretty much any freelancer or agency who promise the world and just deliver trash results, and you won't even know it. I'm not saying you need to be an expert at everything, but you do need to understand the fundamentals well enough so that you can hire intelligently, ask the right questions, be able to properly give critique, and manage these people effectively. But the next mistake is killing your ad performance, and there's a good chance you don't even realize it's happening. Mistake number 2. Most beginners are just spamming creatives for the sake of making and testing creatives because they heard you need to do a lot of creative volume. So most beginners are just spam launching ad after ad or even ripping their competitors' creatives one-on-one, just praying something will stick. If you're just doing that and not actually taking the time to learn and understand how to make creatives that actually convert, you're not going to find much success. Let me give you a perfect example of what I mean. We all know that meta nowadays, the creative does the targeting, but here's what most people miss. Different type of creatives target different stages of market awareness, and this is where beginners completely mess up. Not everyone seeing your ad is at the same awareness level. Some people don't even realize they have a problem yet. Some people know that they have a problem, but not the solution. And some people know the solution, but don't know about your product. Some people already know what you're selling, and they just need a little bit more urgency or social proof to just choose you. So different creatives are meant for different awareness stages. For example, these super direct branded creatives with a product front and center like these ones, while they look nice, Meta algorithm knows that these type of creatives are meant for bottom of the funnel, product aware, or most aware customers who already know that they want what you're selling. So if you're a new brand just spamming these very direct branded product focused creatives because they look nice, you see other people running it, don't be surprised when you can't really scale these creatives. So mistake number 2 is not having a real creative strategy, because profitable ads don't just start with make more ads. Profitable ads start with understanding market awareness levels and building creatives that actually matches where the customer is mentally. That's what you really need to do to make creatives that really convert. So you need creatives that cover all parts of a customer journey, from top of the funnel, unaware, all the way down to bottom of the funnel, most aware, along with understanding what these creatives actually look like. To simply break down market awareness stages, number 1, unaware. They don't even realize they have a problem yet. You don't pitch the product, you call out a symptom, situation, or story that makes them think, wait, that's me, and introduce to them the problem. Number 2, problem aware. They know that there's something wrong, but don't know how to fix it. So you just validate the pain, agitate it, and makes them want a solution or present to them the solution. Number 3, solution aware. They know that solution exists for their problem, but they just need to be told why your solution works and what makes it different. Number 4, product aware. They know your product exists, They're just asking, can I trust this? So you just need to use proof like reviews, comparisons, results. And then finally, number 5, most aware. These type of customers already want to buy your product. They just need a reason to act now. So you can instill urgencies, give bonuses like extra discounts, free gifts, or just offer a really generous guarantee. Now, why does this matter? Most beginners jump straight to these super direct, heavily branded ads because they look really branded and nice and the messaging feels really clear to them. And like I said, while these ads can definitely convert, you're only targeting people who already know they want something like your product. And that's a very small audience, which really caps your scale and drives CPA up as competition increases. As you move up the awareness ladder towards the unaware category, where the audience gets much larger but much colder and harder to convert, our job as marketers is to take these customers who are unaware and problem aware and actually move them down step by step towards product aware and most aware, where conversions actually happen. And that's what a real creative strategy does. At the same time, if you are just spamming creatives, even if you are doing the right awareness levels, but you're not extracting learnings, which is analyzing why a creative worked or why it's failed, you're not actually testing or learning. You're just gambling. Creative testing isn't just about volume. It's about clarity. Each creative test should teach you why something worked or why it didn't. Whether it's about your audience, your angle, your hook, your positioning, whatever it is, if you're not taking these insights and deliberately applying them to your next round of creatives, you're just burning ad spend and calling it testing, since you're learning nothing from running all these ads. But here's the thing, even if you nail your creative strategy, there's one factor most beginners completely ignore that determines whether they become profitable or quit right before it starts working. So mistake number 3, I'm sure you've heard the story before. Someone watches a few YouTube videos on dropshipping or how to build an e-commerce brand, and they build a store, run some ads for a week or two, and they fail to make any money and just give up forever. They expect to go from 0 to 10K months within 30 days just because they saw YouTube videos done this before. And when this doesn't happen, they just assume e-commerce doesn't work or is just not meant for them. But if you really think about it, it really takes time to develop your skills as a marketer, and it takes time to develop an eye for winning products. So mistake number 3 is not being realistic. Even the best marketers test products that fail. Even 9-figure brands launch new SKUs all the time that just flop. But the difference is they understand this is part of the process and it's just not a reason to quit. The people that actually make it in e-commerce are the ones driven enough to not give up despite failing. They treat failure as education and not defeat. Think about it. Would you really expect to become a professional golfer after watching a few YouTube videos and practicing here and there? Of course not. But somehow, people expect to succeed at ecom, which involves developing many different skills like marketing, copywriting, media buying, and a dozen other skills in just a matter of a couple of weeks or months. So here's what you really need to understand. E-commerce is a skill-based business. Skills take time to develop. You're probably gonna fail before you actually succeed, and that's completely normal. You really need to set realistic expectations and give yourself a couple months to really learn the fundamentals of ecom and marketing, and really give yourself a budget for learning. Most importantly, you should detach your ego from short-term results. Every failed product test, money burn, and every mistake you make is just tuition in your e-commerce education. And the faster you fail and learn, the faster you'll actually succeed. But if you really want to fast track your learning, skip the learning curve and avoid spending thousands on beginner mistakes and learn personally one-on-one from someone who's been doing e-commerce for over 6 years, done over 7 figures in revenue with multiple stores, and actively scaling right now multiple 7-figure stores, then I'm here for you. I've helped people like Anthony go from knowing absolutely nothing about e-commerce marketing to scaling a store to over $1 million in revenue from 0 this year. So if you're interested, you can click the top link in the description, but this next mistake will kill your business before you're even launching your first ad. And most beginners don't even realize they're making it until it's too late. Mistake number 4, lots of people choose products with poor unit economics or unproven demand, then wonder why scaling feels impossible. Well, with the wrong product, your brand is pretty much just dead before you even make your first sale. Let me give you a simple example. Pretend you're trying to sell a $15 product with no upsells that you can really do. You can't really utilize subscription because it's just a one-time buy type of product, and you're just expecting to maintain this sub $10 CPA at scale to be profitable. It's just not realistic. Meta ad costs fluctuate, algorithm change can happen, seasonal demand shifts. If you don't have cushion in your margins, you're just one bad week or even day away from going broke. I also see people choose these new unproven product with limited demand. Sure, you might generate some sales early, but if the total market is small, there's really no room for sustained growth. And just because you get a few sales doesn't mean you picked a scalable product. It just means you found a few buyers. Another version of this mistake is choosing highly seasonal products that really only sell a few months out of the year, like a water gun during the summer. You might make money during the peak season, but once demand drops, revenue falls off a cliff. And then you're forced into this constant cycle of finding and testing new products, launching new stores, and just starting over from zero again. Mistake number 4 is choosing the wrong product. But the real question is, what kind of products should you actually be choosing? First, pick a product that you can sell year-round. Evergreen demand gives you predictable revenue and the ability to build a real brand instead of constantly chasing trends and building new stores and having to test a new product every couple months, because if the demand disappears half the year, scale disappears with it. Second, choose products with high lifetime value, ideally ones where you can offer subscriptions or have tons of repeat purchases, like a supplement, for example. This really lets you pay more for customer acquisition because you're actually acquiring customers that buy again and again rather than these one-time purchases. You're also able to scale way faster because you can spend more money on ads than your competitors who rely on first order profitability. And you can really benefit from the compounding revenue you get when those rebuilds start stacking. That is one of the biggest unlocks in e-commerce. Third, I would pick products that solve a real problem. People don't really buy products, they buy the transformation. Problem-solving products come with built-in demand and urgency, which makes marketing significantly easier and way more predictable, in my opinion. Fourth, you really need to make sure the product math actually work. I generally want to sell products for at least $30 or able to get the AOV up to at least $50 through bundles, upsells, or subscriptions if I'm selling a sub $30 product. And as a general rule of thumb, you want to be able to sell the product for at least 3x your landed cost of goods. That margin cushion is what keeps you alive when ad costs fluctuate, when you're trying to scale, when CPM spikes, or when performance dip for a week or two. Scaling isn't about forcing bad numbers to work. It's about choosing products where the math work before you ever launch ads. And this next mistake that I'll be talking about, you might feel like you're being smart and playing it safe, but in reality, it quietly handicaps your entire business and yourself. And most people don't realize it until it's too late. Mistake number 5, I see so many beginners try to shortcut success by copying competitors instead of learning the fundamentals of e-com and marketing. They'll find a brand that's scaling and rip their entire funnel, copy their offers 101, steal their creatives, and launch their version of the store. And when it fails, they just can't figure out why. Think about it. If it was that easy, everyone would just copy the biggest brands 101 and print money. The reality is that almost never works. So the mistake here is copying everything and learning nothing. You're not learning how to write copy that actually converts. You're not learning how to craft compelling offers. You're not learning how to create or iterate winning creatives. You're not using your brain at all. You're just copying these surface level assets without understanding why they work. Even if copying worked, which it usually doesn't, you'd be screwed long term because you haven't developed any actual skills. Most beginners don't even realize this. When you rip a competitor, you're usually not the only one doing it. There are probably dozens of other people running the exact same rip creative, rip funnel, and offer, and now you're all competing for the same customer using the same messaging, the same funnel, the same offer, selling the same product with zero differentiation. At that point, the winner isn't the ripper. The winner is the original brand because they have more data, better creatives and assets, higher LTV from probably better product quality and customer experience, optimized upsells and stronger retention, and a feedback loop that lets them keep on iterating on what actually works. The original brand understands why their ads convert, so they can create these new winning concepts and variations and continue scaling. But beginners don't, because they're just copying this snapshot of what worked in the past. So while rippers fight each other to the bottom, the real brands keep improving, scaling, and pulling further ahead. To really see success with ecom, you shouldn't be afraid to learn and test and fail on your own terms. It's far better to test and fail and understand why something didn't work than to copy someone else and learn nothing. What I would do is set a testing budget that you're okay emotionally with losing while you learn. Just treat this budget as your tuition. You also need to detach your ego from short-term results. Every failed product test or campaign teaches you something valuable. Overall, studying your competitors for insight is fine, but not for imitation. Look at what they're doing, ask yourself why it might be working, then build your own version based on those insights. The skills you develop by doing those things yourself, such as making your own creatives, crafting your own angles, writing your own copy, these are what actually lets you succeed in e-commerce long term. But this next mistake is even worse because it completely stops you from ever getting your first sale, which is mistake number 6. Beginners often want perfect products, perfect creatives, perfect website, and perfect guarantees before they're even willing to spend a single dollar on testing. So they hesitate, overanalyze, and undertest. They spend months researching and planning, but never actually launch anything. This leads to exactly zero progress. But e-commerce rewards speed and iteration, not certainty. The market doesn't care about your perfect plan. Your customers don't care about this beautiful, unproven to convert website. The only thing that really matters is what actually converts when real people see it. Since you can spend weeks building the perfect store, spending hours polishing video creatives, only to discover that your messaging is completely off and nobody even wants your product. Or you can spend a few days building a good enough product page, good enough creatives, and just launch it and get real market feedback telling you exactly what to fix. And you learn this through actually testing and launching, not by planning for weeks and months. So mistake number 6 is wanting guarantees before even spending money. The reality of e-commerce is nothing is ever guaranteed, but every dollar you spend on testing teaches you something valuable about your market, your product, your messaging, your offer. And what most people don't realize is when you're in the testing phase, you really don't need the sexiest website or even the best looking creatives. Those are things that you can improve over time after you actually know what works. Trying to make everything perfect from the start usually makes things way worse because you're optimizing based on assumption and not reality. So like I said before, what I recommend is launching with good enough and just iterating and improving based on real data. Personally, I think speed beats perfection. And now this is the last mistake that I'll be talking about. And this one doesn't just slow you down, it will destroy your ad performance and drive you absolutely insane in the process. What's scary is that I even see experienced advertisers make this mistake, and it single-handedly prevents them from scaling past 10 to 100K days. If you're making this mistake right now, your campaigns are probably suffering and you don't even know it. Mistake number 7. Some people see a bad performance day and instantly reduce their ad budgets. Similarly, some people might have a decent day and immediately increase their ad spend. They're essentially just day trading their ad account and making these emotional decisions based on just a single data point. Let me ask you this. Do you think the biggest e-commerce brands in the world are doing this? Do you think they're checking their ad performance every hour and making budget changes based on these daily swings? Of course not. That would be insane. It's completely normal for performance to even fluctuate a bit. Keep in mind you're targeting and selling to real people, not robots. There are going to be certain days where there just might not be as much demand, like holidays, Mondays, or just have random events that affect buying behavior. Or sometimes, Meta's algorithm is just having an off day. That's completely normal. If you're constantly reacting to these normal fluctuations and swings in performance, you're sabotaging your own campaigns. When you cut budgets after a bad day, you're often pulling spend right before giving a chance for performance to stabilize. And when you scale aggressively after a good day, sometimes you're scaling into declining performance. Overall, you need to stop day trading your ad budgets. You need to stop judging performance day by day and start looking at your data over the course of several days or even a week minimum. Since daily performance, I'm not gonna say it means nothing, but weekly trends mean everything. The only way to have stable results isn't from micromanaging your daily budget. It's consistently doing the things that you can control, like putting out better creatives, improving your funnel and optimizing your offer more, providing better customer experience and building retention, doing omnichannel marketing so you're just not reliant on a single ad platform at scale. I would obsess over inputs, not daily outcomes. Focus on the things that you can control and don't obsess over the things that you can't control. Just zoom out and stop obsessing over day-to-day results. In fact, I don't even check my revenue on my store every day anymore. I look at it every few days or weekly just because those type of trends actually matter. Anyways, by now you should know exactly what to avoid and exactly what to do instead. But if you want my personal help implementing everything we just covered and figuring out exactly what mistakes you're currently making and build a clear path for you to scale profitably to 7 figures, well, I'm currently opening limited spots for a private one-on-one mentorship program where I'll be working with you directly one-on-one and showing you the exact strategies I've used to build multiple 7-figure brands. If that sounds like what you need, click the link in the description to apply. Anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.